Good morning, friends. Today I want to share with you an illustrative practice and the scheme of the way it works, but it is so primitively simple and is so beyond the bounds of the comprehension of so-called healthy person. Now I'm not talking about common sense, but about those who consider themselves to be socially adapted. You might say that I'm talking nonsense, that now you won't do this. You are welcome, don't do. In fact, if you want to get your life back together, it makes sense to listen and to understand how does it work. Every day we manifest ourselves to each other. Every day we interact in the kitchen with our beloved ones, our children, parents. Every day we manifest ourselves in the relationships. Recently, we have begun to study the topic which is called soul strings. It is an extremely important topic, and when we saw how the soul strings are designed, in fact, it was the moment when the magic has gotten underway. For example, when I found those little trunks inside me, I had a wish to reconnect them, and this provided the direct connection for the receiving of the information. But this is a separate topic. But in the context of interacting with other people, when you see those flaming soul units, you realize how do we interrelate with the world around us. Now I will try to tell you about this in simple words, and I will share a practice with you at the end. Look, every person has a soul. In reality, it's huge, but I'm going to draw it as a little one, and another person has a soul. And they are somehow interacting with each other. Each soul has so-called protuberances. They look like threads or strings. That's why we call them soul strings. And it's a string with a little sucker, and it uses this sucker to tune the resonating frequency from the other side. And the frequencies match together, the suckers are fixed, and the interaction occurs, the energy flows. The direct connection has been installed, the wiring has appeared. In case these suckers didn't match together, the energy wouldn't flow, the block would appear, and it would bounce back from the person like from the wall. And the person wouldn't feel the other one, because these suckers, these contacts provide the energy exchange between people, and accordingly it occurs on the particular frequency. And this frequency we comprehend as a feeling of guilt, offense, love, or any other. So the system of work of those suckers on the soul strings provides us with a soul contact with another person. And in fact, this is the base of building up the reality. That's how a woman attracts a man in her life. She resonates in a particular frequency and gets the same sucker no matter in which part of the world. If it responds to it, then in physical world a point is created where these guys would meet and have an interaction. And in such way, depending on the type of frequency, the suitable person is attracted and the corresponding communication occurs. An additional separate gain is created. It works something like this. And if we talk about our everyday, ordinary life, in the morning a wife comes into the kitchen and she sees her husband there. Usually every soul wants love and an interaction with love. And the wife's soul string with the sucker is reaching out for her husband. But not only that the wife's soul wants love, her higher self and ego conveys the information. I'm offended. You owe me, and so on. The information goes through the prism of her programs, and through the prism of these programs, she castigates him. You don't take care about me, you don't love me, and so on. And if a man reacts with a feeling of guilt, they conjoin in this point and inflate each other with their offense and guilt. And the man lives with this resonated frequency. Of course, he would like to share it with somebody, as no one wants to feel unloved, offended, or guilty. And this interaction continues to occur on this level. When such kind of a sucker comes out and the other side says, you know, go and handle this with yourself, I don't want to vibrate on this frequency. And then this sucker hands around and it can find the victim, then it finds it. If not, then a person begins to sue in his own mean-spiritedness, the whole world becomes bad for him, everyone is guilty. The same happens to the state of love. It finds people much quickly, soul wants to respond to love. Interesting things happen to love. When we interact on the frequency of love, very often such grains of information arrive. then both receive an insight, such a miracle when, oh yes, and the energy flows. And this energy is full of gratitude of the information. People find the way out of difficult situation, understand how to solve the problems, and so on. The insight comes to you in such a contact when the interests coincide. And here comes a very interesting thing. When a person has an interest, then this interaction creates an action. Then both have an insight and have a wish to act and create. This is closer to God. And when it goes like this, when there is neither energy nor interest, the frequency is low. And that's it. The action doesn't occur, it is reduced, and the person begins to stew in his own mean-spiritedness. Sometimes it happens to provide a person with interest, and interest is simply an energy. So he provides a person with energy, and the person doesn't find these points of interaction and doesn't act. And if he doesn't act, then this energy begins to destroy the person. And it will flow through the prism of the person's ego. It begins to inflate his ego and in a dangerous way. His dominant features show themselves. For somebody it's offense, guilt, anger, and from this point a person would meet another one, and in fact it means that he would attack another one and beat him. I'm trying to explain this in simple words for you to get the point of our interaction on the level of the soul, on the level of the soul string. And when we comprehend the way the strings work, then we come up to the next point. We take the mirror and put it here as a screen before we communicate with another person. How can it display in life? We have just wanted to tell our husband that he is a jerk, that he manipulates, that he doesn't do something, doesn't provide his family, and so on. But we tell this not our husband, but this screen. Let's take, for example, a mobile phone. We take a mobile phone, push the record button on, and we start telling our husband everything we wanted to say. We have given our husband a piece of our mind. We have adduced all our arguments, our feelings, our reasons. Then we put our cell phone aside and go about our business. It is very important to commit an act, as during this the process of the mind relieving occurs. The mind program stops to rile up the energy to ego. In half an hour we sit down, turn on this cell phone record and begin to listen. And you would open a totally different world for you, my friends, because everything you've said not about your husband, but about yourself. And when you say that he doesn't do something, it means you are not doing something. You say that he behaves in the wrong way, it means you behave in the wrong way. Fling aside those facts that your ego has obtruded on him. Everything that relates emotions, feelings, manifests, actions. This all is about you, my dear friends. It was you who entrusted to him your expectations, your responsibility, your guilt, your offense, your manipulations, in order to make him do something. And what about your husband? At this moment he tells you, I don't want to vibrate on this frequency. Go, my dear, and take care of yourself. I will give you another harsh image for you to move easily to practice this exercise. If we take a level of emotions, psychologists sometimes use a term emotional stink. And it is very descriptive. When a person is on the low frequency, blaming another one, accusing another one, this is tantamount to stating that a person has pooped his pants. This soul has pooped its pants. This state of pooped pants, it comes up to its partner and says, darling, would you please smell it? And another soul responds, listen, go and clean yourself. Just clean yourself, either we won't have any interaction, we won't make a connection, and I won't share my energy with you until you make an action and clean yourself. Can you imagine? It's all that simple. This video I tailored to mummies, because lots of them behave themselves in their life situations, being in the state of pooped pants. And I suggest you, as all of you have mobile phones, to start practice this exercise on the daily basis. This practice when you start recording everything you say to your children, to your husband, to your friends, and then in 30 minutes you listen to everything you've said, and you recognize yourself in that. And in that moment, when you reach such a condition, when you realize that both of your chakras reach to each other simultaneously, they have one and the same interest, they enlightened. At the same time, the energy spark occurs, which provides with the energy both of their souls, you begin to create. And then everything else doesn't matter anymore. Because the only thing left is your creativity, my dear friends. Your creativity is the way you manifest yourself in this life. That's how we find expression through other people. When one soul has an interest and another soul has an interest and they both meet together, they both energetically explode, they get enlightened. The Creator shared them with His creative energy and they immediately transform it into action. To make something new, to create something new, to manifest themselves in a new way, and so on. And those actions would be either your destination or your current interest. It doesn't matter. You could meet an obstacle on your way, represented by the point of view of those around you who would say, don't go, don't do this, you won't succeed. You would suddenly hear this from the most competent person in your life, your mother. Or you would hear this from some businessman who'd say, your idea is absolutely futile, you will fail. My dear friends, if you have this connection, if you feel the energy, then even the most absurd idea would bring you joy, money and pleasure. And the other soul is not able to appreciate this, as it didn't have this connection. That's why there is no sense to ask any other soul, how do you think, will I succeed or not? Because the soul doesn't have such an experience, it didn't receive the energy and it didn't have any insight. This is your manifestation, this is your insight. Receive this insight from God, because this gain, this energy charging you get from the Creator. Something like that, my dear friends. You can use your mobile phone for your life and relationship benefit.